Thanks for having me. I'm I was part of the first cohort of fellow, and I'll talk slightly a bit more about my project there. If you could go to the next slide. So my BDC project was part of a kind of a bigger effort to improve and showcase pangenomic, which is in our case the use of a better reference genome. So it's where we integrate right from the start information about other genomes, hence the term pangenome. So in my case, I made a pangenome that contains some of the most challenging genomic variants, the structural variants, the bigger and more complex ones. And I used that pangenome to genotype them from short-read sequencing data. And so the message of this paper that was published almost exactly a year ago was that we now have a pangenomic approach that is not only more accurate, we knew about this, but also it's as fast and efficient as traditional methods. And so to show that, I used the BDC ecosystem to analyze thousands of samples with the whole genome sequencing data. So it was like on one hand, a proof of concept of the scalability of our tools. And at the same time, we've produced a unique SV structural variant catalog across the diverse cohorts we had access to through BDC. So that's kind of the research highlights. And on the next slide, I think I describe a little bit more about, if you can go to the next slide. I describe a bit like what I used in the BDC ecosystem. So I had implemented and deposited my workflows in Docstore. I used data that I imported from Gen3. That's the second component, and like using the big data set, or at least part of the big data set that Emily mentioned, the TopMed data set, I used a subset of the MESA cohort, the very diverse cohort that I analyzed. And I did all the computation and the analysis on Terra. And so I think the advice I would give to someone who would like to do something similar would be first to start small, to really test the workflow and what you're about to run, test it on a really small data set first, testing it locally, starting with just one sample if you're going to scale to a lot of samples. So that actually took a lot more time than the actual analysis of the thousands of genomes. I think on Terra, because it's so elastic with the cloud, it took maybe a week or two. But the first part of making sure everything is going to not be too expensive, it's going to work and can scale is very important and takes more time. So I would say, I would recommend you spend a lot of effort on this step. The second advice, again, from experience, maybe something we realized after the fact, is to try to keep things organized from the start as much as possible. So the components, at least I used, especially Docstores and Terra, that I use the most, and I'm sure Seven Bridges also has this, have features that can help you organize data in table and keeping track of what you've run, where the output is, what the results are, but also tag your workflows to keeping track of what you've run and which version of each tool and which everything. So all of this is available. So I really think that should be used to really keep track and document everything. And also the writing analysis in notebooks can also help you and everyone else who wants to look at what you've done, understand what you've done. So I think that's also a very important one. And the last advice, I think, is a no-brainer, but to keep an eye on the costs. But I just wanted to say that sometimes some costs may be less obvious than others. So I think it's maybe good to be a bit paranoid and always check, oh, have I left something running and it's costing money, or how much is the storage costing me? That's something I've also kind of realized at some point in my experience, that some big files, temporary files, are still there and costing money. So I think that's the last thing, but yeah, to think hard of what could be costing money and look at the guest reports and about this. And I'll be happy to answer any question now or at the end about the other research or my experience with BDC, which was a great enabler for me, at least for my research.